thank you, whoever whooped, that you've been here since I got on stage at 10 o'clock, right? Because you're still whooping, and everyone else forgot. There's only one rule in here, and that is that we give everyone a massive cheer like the Americans do. So next up, continuing the sustainability theme, I've got Mart Drake-Knight, and that's a name I can actually pronounce today. And he's going to talk to us about creating a circular economy for T-shirts. So everyone welcome Mart to the stage. Woo! Right.
Yep, righto. Afternoon, everybody. I'll come up from the Isle of Wight. And there was an article in the Times just a couple of days ago which said that if it was a country, it would be the oldest country on earth. Where are all the young people? So a bit of a culture shock for me today, seeing other young people. Hi. I was asked to do a talk. It's an email from Madfest, capital letters. Can you do a talk on no guts, no glory? So I was trying to work out how to sort of tell our story, which is fundamentally one about sustainability, through that lens. And I could probably start by telling you that we started our business in a garden shed, my brother and I. That we built the business up to be a relatively successful one, built some factories. And then I thought of this photo. That's my entire life's work burning down. One day when I came back from lunch, the factory on fire. It wasn't actually my fault, by the way. It was the fire started in a neighboring building. The problem with stories like these about individual people and their heroics is that it can be all kind of exciting, but then you go home and the feeling fades and we're still back where we started. So I'm going to take it literally, and my talk contains no guts and no glory. Trying to be original. So really I'm talking about sustainability. The reason why I don't think it is compatible with this story about heroics is because sustainability is a subject that affects all of us. I mean, you're getting to sort of the will to live, and that's not kind of like a premium add-on for the few that can afford it. It won't work like that. This affects everybody. And all of this pollution and this carbon comes from all of the stuff that we design and that we market, so it's everything. And we know that we don't have much time, actually, to fix it. So it's a big subject for a 15-minute slot. Everybody, everything needs to be redesigned urgently in our lifetimes. And I can sort of understand why that makes it intimidating as a subject or difficult to know where to start. But I like to see it, like other views that are available, I like to see it from the other way around. Like, isn't it great how we finally got an issue that we can all agree on? That we've got common ground. I can't think of much else in life where we all start from that same place. And what a great foundation for a business, especially when you remember, and I think we've forgotten this sometimes, businesses aren't about making money. They're a way for people to come together to solve a problem that they couldn't solve on their own, and to make a difference and make the world better. The profit is just society's reward. So we've got a great starting point, and there are big prizes. Really, it comes down to one simple question. What can it be done? And if it can be done, how do we actually do it? So that's what I'm going to try and contribute today. Starting from something we've all got in common. We're all kids once. And when I was 5, my mum explained to me how bins work. And I think at that age, the whole economy feels like a massive game all the adults are playing, doesn't it? And putting stuff in the bins like one of those grown-up things you've got to learn to do. And she explains to me, what we do is we take all of the stuff that we buy, make, use, produce, consume, we stick it in a special plastic bag in our home, and a lorry comes round, and every home throws their bag in the lorry, and it drives around a hill and reverses into a field, and when no one's looking, sort of dumps all of that stuff just in a field. Like, that's what we do. That's our system. That's where all of the stuff we design and that we take to market ends up. And when I figured out, that was it, that's our system, obviously I started crying. And then I decided I was going to do something about it. So I got my pencil case and I wrote this letter, bit of truth to power. I said, "Dear Mr. Bin Man, I'm 5 years old. I'm extremely worried about lots of rubbish. Where does all the rubbish in my bin actually end up? And what are you doing about this? And they actually wrote back and they said, don't worry about this. We got it under control. We're working on this whole new thing called recycling. When you're a grown-up, it's not going to be an issue at all. So I didn't worry about it. About 20 years later, I got to go to a landfill, and I came over the hill, and I saw the dump truck reversing, and all of that trash was still going into the ground. I realized that it had been everywhere, every day, every year, ever since I wrote that letter. And at that point, I realized that whatever I was going to do with my life, I didn't want to be part of that system. So I think, like a lot of young people, my brother and I just decided, we wanted to actually do something about this. And we had a pretty simple idea. We want products made from natural materials using renewable energy that hopefully don't end up in that landfill. And so we started a company, and something really strange started to happen. And I don't think people talk about this enough, which is the more we tried to use natural materials and the more we tried to use renewable energy, the more we tried to do the right thing, the more expensive it got, the more the economy punished us. And if we'd have chosen to use more polluting materials or energy that wasn't clean, we'd have been rewarded. So let's just check that makes sense for a second. The way that the rules of the system are set up, if you try to do the right thing, you get a hardcore smackdown. But if you want to create loads of pollution, you're incentivized. Everybody cool with that? Now, we didn't understand that. We just knew something was wrong, so we decided we were going to go and have a look and see if we could figure it out. But just before I go on, I want to put, at that time it was kind of a feeling, I want to put that into context. Like, in that landfill, this is like what these people are dealing with. And I got that letter back, I was kind of angry, but now I sort of just feel sorry for the guy to write it back, because he was doing his best, obviously, but sort of holding back this tsunami of waste. 60%, something simple like clothes, we all wear them, 60% of clothing is made of plastic. And 99% of textiles waste isn't recycled. It goes to landfill or incineration, so that equates to about a dump truck a second of 40 tons every second being burned or buried. It's a major issue, second most polluting industry on Earth. Now, we decided we're going to go and have a look and see if we can understand that. That's how we ended up in places like this. A lot of people talk about traceability in marketing. But for us, it's not about showing people, hey, this is how stuff is made. The reason that we went to places like this was to go and actually understand how things are made and to change how things are made. That's what it's actually meant to be about. And the more we went to places like this, the more we looked, the more we learned almost everything in the world is made in the exact same way. It's like resources are taken out of the ground and turned into products that are designed to be thrown away, like on a massive conveyor belt. Now, if everything in the world is designed to be thrown away, and then we tell consumers to make better choices, how can they make a different choice if there's only one option? Like, a choice with one option is not a choice. I think part of the reason that there's so much problems with waste is something else that we saw when we went to these places, and we just started seeing the same thing everywhere, and that's waste. Okay, I'm not talking about like wasted electricity or wasted, time or something like that. I'm talking about the waste built into these business models themselves. So in factories like this, something like 40% of all clothing production is never utilized. Okay, that's a fancy way of saying they manufacture clothes speculatively en masse and take them to market without actually being sure whether or not they're sold. And then 40% of all of that production, all that material, all that energy, skips the bit where people buy it and just goes straight to waste, to landfill or incineration. 40% of all clothing production. I mean, it's completely crazy. And if you take that massive amount of overproduction and you scale it up to mass production worldwide, you end up with massive amounts of waste. So we sort of had a question at this point. Why don't factories just make what people need when they need it? Well, it turns out there's lots of good excuses, because what you'd need to do, apart from going into this factory and saying, hey, could you completely redesign the whole thing, please, and change all of your equipment and work to my business model, they'd need to make millions of tiny little decisions and almost at the speed of light round the clock to match the demand and supply. Essentially, people's brains can't remember that stuff or process that much information that quickly. But that's exactly what a computer does. So we started looking into digital technologies and ways to digitize and automate parts of the factory. And then on the Isle of Wight, we made a discovery, an abandoned co-op supermarket. So we decided to borrow some money and buy it, and we built a new type of factory inside it. So this is a look inside one of our facilities. And Rich is standing there holding a T-shirt that's just been made, but it was produced in the seconds after it was ordered. So a customer ordered it, they get it tomorrow, but it was made after. That means we only make what people actually want when they need it. I talked about the massive amounts of waste built into these business models. Well, if you don't do that, you save massive amounts of money. And the money that we're able to save from designing out waste, we reinvested in different parts of the supply chain to use the materials, the energy that we wanted to see, or the kind of jobs that we want to see in the world. Now, this is an important moment because it constantly feels, doesn't it, like the sustainability or the environment and our economy are at odds. But when we start talking about designing out waste, actually we can make progress. This is our recipe for progress. You design out waste, and actually that might mean redesigning the business model itself, if that's what it takes, but you reinvest the proceeds to make progress on sustainability. And everywhere there's waste, in every industry there's waste, there's an opportunity to actually move forward with this issue. So if you want to make massive steps forward on a big problem, where's the biggest pile of waste in the world? So back to the landfill. And I think stood on the edge of a landfill, you kind of realize that words like waste are kind of part of the problem. I think if you call it waste or trash, it kind of gives us a license to talk about it like that. But if we look around, you see stuff like steel or aluminium or copper. And these are materials, and materials are worth something. And I think it's sort of surprising to me that lots of other businesses have not cottoned onto this just yet. Like if you think about businesses today, they're quite conscientious of their costs. A lot of people in the marketing industry are talking about cost of acquisition being really annoying and expensive. Well, here's a crazier cost. Imagine a bottled water company that goes out and buys polyethylene, the container to put their product in, right? And it sells that to their customer, and then gives their customer no choice by design but to go and throw that material in the bin when they're done with it, giving themselves as a business no choice but to have to go and take the money they just made and spend it again to replace the material they already had. I mean, it's insane. Every time you sell something, you throw money away. I don't know about you guys, because I'm from the Isle of Wight, but that doesn't sound like the right way round in terms of doing business. We're meant to make money, not lose it when we sell stuff. So we designed every product that we ever made from the start to come back to us when it's worn out. We have a nifty little tag on the inside that you scan with your phone. And what our customers do when they're done with their products and they're worn out is they scan that and send it back to us. And because our products are designed from the start to be remade, that material is actually worth something to us, so we can afford to pay them for it. When you make it easy and you make it profitable for them to do it, the material starts to flow. And when the material comes back, we can make new products from the waste that we recover. So instead of creating waste, we just make new products from it. It ends the cycle for good. I think people are inspired by stuff they see, so I want to show you something. The whole time I've been talking, you've been looking at the circular economy in action, because the clothes I'm wearing today are made out of waste. This shirt used to be a shirt before that, and when it's worn out, it will come back to be one. I just want to ask you a question at that point. Like, is this like really such a big change for us to get used to? When I stood up here, did I look unusual or uncomfortable or out of place? So I think that's quite an exciting opportunity for us as a concept, you know. Now, we started our little brand and did all this. That was quite successful for us. 100-something employees, lots of zeros and pounds signs in front of them. But if we're serious about solving the problem, the solution needs to be like at least as big as the problem, otherwise it won't work. So if we want future to be a circular one, we need to scale this up rapidly. And for us, the fastest and easiest way to do it was to take all the technology we built and package it up into a platform and basically just put it on the internet and give it away for free. So we built this platform called Teemill. It allows anybody to connect to all of our digital infrastructure and supply chains, build their own brands, and it costs nothing. And the cool thing about that is that people, whether they're startups or brands or businesses, can build their own stuff, but it's built on a circular model from day one. And anyone can do it. You guys could do it. There's something like 10,000 organizations. Some of them are large multinational businesses. Some of them are bedroom startups. Some of them are social media influencers using this technology. And I think what matters is they're making a difference. And my message for you on this is actually, I think, quite an important one to me, which is that the whole time we talk about our economy and what the solution might look like, we assume that competition is the path to progress. It's all about beating other people. Well, in my experience, we got way further, way faster with cooperation, with sharing things with other people. It's true. So think, to sum up, like, what did we learn from doing this? Well, quite often we look at the sustainability problem, we look at and think of the economy as this massive force that kind of imposed upon us as something that happens to us. Actually, that's not really true. I think what we need to realize is the economy, it is us. It's just a big amalgamation of all of the actions, the inputs and projects and all the things that we do each day. And all of us play a part, and we can all contribute and try new things. And it's okay to wake up one morning and actually question whether the business model itself is part of the problem. And that's how we can actually think about the economy as a big game, but it's played by adults. And because we're the adults and we make the rules, any of us can move the pieces around and change the game and make progress if we want. This is what the outcome looks like. There's Kate Moss wearing a circular product. Does she know that that is made in a fundamentally different way? Does she care? Don't know, to be honest. But for me, that's what success looks like. We don't need to think about this problem as something where we have to sacrifice, buy less, or go backwards. Hope that the story I've shared with you today gives you some ideas about how you could use some of the principles that we've learned to move forward and make products that solve the problem but still look awesome and that people want to buy. Okay, thanks very much. Hope that's useful.
That was cool. I love what you've done. I just had a couple of questions. Are you
Sure.
all right for a couple of questions?
Yeah.
I've just rammed some food down. Is that where you all went and now you're coming back? So one of the questions here is, how do we as marketers encourage consumers to care more about sustainability over other factors such as price or convenience?
I think that it's not that people don't care, it's just they don't know what to do about it. I think part of what won't work is trying to sort of spin products that are not sustainable to be sort of eco-friendly in some way. Quite a lot of people think that the fashion industry is making a lot of progress on this issue, but the stats say otherwise. And that is likely, as with lots of other problems in the past with the fashion industry, I think, it might come back back around. So I think the key thing is to recognize that there is, a lot of waste in the business models. If you design out waste, you can actually create a situation where products can get cheaper, so people can be better off. Because you designed out waste, that's also better for the environment, and also you can increase your margin as a business. So for me, I don't necessarily have all the answers, but the right question is, wherever there's waste, there's an opportunity to make progress where people, the business, and the environment can be better off.
Amazing. Do you do anything other than T-shirts, or is it just T-shirts?
Oh yeah, that was a mistake when we named the company. There's 200 different types of products to make. Yeah, we're from the Isle of Wight. We didn't really think that it was going to get as big as it did.
Well, do you know what? I think it might get even bigger, because the last time I saw a business do this was when Shopify took on Amazon, and you only have to look at how big Shopify is now. They made what they needed to start a shop and then outsourced it. Or and that's exactly what you've done.
Yeah, I think again, you build something great. When competition starts to become a barrier to the solution growing, I suppose we just thought, well, it's kind of like the Volvo seatbelt thing. They designed the 3-point seatbelt. Do you know that?
No.
Oh, so it's really nerdy. It's a great story.
Yeah, I love it. Tell me.
Like Volvo designed a 3-point seatbelt, and they're like, this is amazingly safe. We just can't. And they just like, we got to give it away. So all the seatbelts, they just would give it with someone. They created them and said the world can have that for free. And so when you build a purposeful company, one of the interesting things is you start almost the business models actually become part of the problem, and it's good force for innovation. You create new business models, and sharing stuff was a risk, but I think the business has grown 100 times since we decided to do that. So it was the right decision.
That's amazing. What a great story. Can we give him a big hand? Thank you. Woo! Thank you.